Hello, I'm Julie and it's Spellbound's Ruby anniversary, so that's 40 years of beading fun. And to celebrate that we're doing videos of things made in wonderful ruby red beads. Now I always think that red lends itself to sparkle, so I've gone back into our archives and found this necklace that featured in the Spellbound Beaded Tassels book, made from beaded beads created from crystal. And I really love this. This is my colours. It was more of a challenge to do it in red, so I've really enjoyed playing. And I've done a combination of dark red, tomato red, pink, because rubies do come in pink, and a purple, which would be a slightly off standard ruby, I suppose, but it makes this wonderful combination and a gorgeous necklace to wear to brighten up any outfit. I'm going to show you how to make the beaded beads, both the smaller ones and the longer ones, how to do the stringing and how to finish off the ends so you can make a lovely, wonderful, sparkly necklace just like mine. Here you can see the colour palette I'm going to be working from. Now I'm going to be doing something themed on a ruby red, so I've got colours around to give the overall effect of ruby red. So I've got different sizes of crystal beads. I've got 6x8 rondelles in purple and this beautiful dark red. I've got 6x4 rondelles and I've got those in a bright pink and a tomato red. I've got a 4mm crystal bicone. These are in this lovely plum fuchsia AB finish. And to help me to make these go further within the beaded beads, I've got some size 6 seed beads. I've got some in a lovely dark red AB, and I've got them in this lovely rose pink size 6 alabaster. Now to hold all of these together we need some smaller seed beads, and I've got a mixture of size 10 and size 11. Any combination of the two will work, or you can work all in 11s or all in 10s. And I've got some silver lined red, some silver lined orange, because you can't go wrong with a bit of orange, and I've got this lovely soft alabaster pink that picks up on these tones all the way through. Now to make it into a necklace I'm going to be using some tiger tail or stranded wire thread and some crimps. And to make the beaded beads I'm going to need a size 10 needle and some beading thread in a colour that matches in with my bead selection. I'm going to start by making a copy of this beaded bead. Now inside there is a 6x8 purple crystal bead, so I've got one of those there. I've got 4 of the smaller rondelles, the 6x4 ones, to go around the edge, and in between those 4 crystal beads I'm going to use 4 size 6 seed beads in the alabaster pink. I'm also going to need some seed beads, so I've got all 3 colours of the small seed beads to use. Pop that aside for the moment, and I've prepared my needle with some thread. I'm going to use about 1 metre of double thread. We need to use double because we need to pull really quite hard on the thread, and also we're using crystal beads that can be a bit abrasive, so we're doubling up for extra security. Now normally you would put a keeper bead on the end of the thread, but for this exercise I'm just going to wrap the end of the thread around my little finger on my left hand. That will act as an anchor, mainly because the anchor bead gets in the way while you're doing the beaded bead, because it tends to fall across the hole in your base bead. So I'm going to start off by putting on my base bead, and you can see it's got a nice generous hole, so I'm going to be able to pass through lots of times. There we go, base bead on. Now we're going to do our first strap, and you can see here we've got straps of seed beads supporting our feature beads around the edge. Now for the crystal bead, it needs 3 seed beads top and bottom. For the size 6 seed bead, because it's a little bit smaller, we need to use 4 seed beads top and bottom. So let's start with a crystal bead, and I'm going to put on 2 of those, and a pink, and a crystal, and a pink, and 2 red. And the pink just separates the red away from the red crystal. I'm just going to pass up through our keeper bead, through our base bead. There we go. So that's 1 strap on our base bead. Now the next strap is going to contain one of these. It's got 4 seed beads on either side, and this time we're going to go with 4 beads made up from 3 pink and an orange, and then our main bead, then an orange and 3 pink, and up through the keeper bead. Base bead. Not using a keeper bead, I'm missing it. There we are, there's 2 straps. Now we're going to start alternating. So this is our next crystal strap. Obviously I'm doing this in a regular pattern. There's nothing to say you have to. This is a really versatile technique, so you could use all sorts of oddments to make your beaded beads, as long as the straps are tight around your base bead. You can use any combination you want. So this is my next strap with the size 6 seed bead in the middle. Now when I pull the strap into place, I need to be really careful that it makes its own discrete path. I don't want it to interfere or cross over with any of the other thread paths, because if I do, I'm going to start to mess up the hole in the main base bead. I need that hole for when I'm assembling my final design. Now I've made 2 straps of each. I'm going to do 2 more straps, and then I'll be back to you, show you how to strengthen. I've added the final 2 straps with the seed bead in the middle and 2 straps with the crystal in the middle. So you can see we've now got 8 straps in total, forming a crisscross pattern on the front and on the back. Now you can see I've been really careful to keep the straps separate as they approach the hole in the base bead, to keep everything nice and neat. Now I need to strengthen all of the straps. At the moment they've only got 2 thicknesses of thread going through each one, and I need to at least double that to make sure it's a nice firm construction. However, I don't want to keep passing through the hole in the main bead, because that's now got 16 threads through it already, and I can't keep going through that and then expect to be able to get my threading construction through as well. So I'm going to strengthen the outside without filling up the middle hole. Now I'm going to start by passing through a crystal strap. You need to be really careful when you're doing this to make sure the thread pulls all the way through, because double threads are notorious for getting caught up, and you've got lots of lumps and bumps around your design now, so make sure it pulls all the way through. So I've gone through the crystal strap, and instead of going down through the main strap, I'm going to go through the next strap around. So I've just come out of here and I'm going to go down the next strap, which is 3 pink and 1 orange seed bead. The large seed bead in the middle and down through the ones at the other end. And I'm going to continue, so I'm working anti-clockwise around the bead, around the main beaded bead. I'm not passing through the beaded bead, I'm just passing through the strap snake. See, look, there's a loop that's been caught, so I need to be careful with that. And so that's 2 crystal beads I've been through, 2 crystal straps. Make sure that pulls through, that's better. And then this is the second size 6 seed bead strap. And as you start to do this, you'll find that it feels so much firmer. The thread pulls through more easily, and you can get quite quick at this strengthening pass. Just make sure, as I say, that the thread isn't caught up anywhere. So this is the 3rd seed bead strap. We're doing a anti-clockwise circuit. So that was out of that one. It's very easy to lose track, which is why I'm keeping count on how many crystal straps I've been through, so that I know when I've been all the way around. Now this is the first strap again. I'm going to go through those beads now. Okay, so I've come down this way and I was going that way around the main bead. Now I'm going to reverse. I'm going to go that way around the main bead, and that will neaten around each hole on each end of the main support bead. So as you're going from one strap to the other, you're adding in a little stitch of thread across the edge of the hole, and that makes it much neater. As usual, my desk might look tidy from what you can see, but the rest of it is a disaster zone, so that scraping noise you can hear is my thread catching on scissors, other projects, my cup of tea, if I'm honest. You always bead better if you've got some form of favourite beverage to hand. It's just a little loop in the thread needed to pull through. We're getting there. So I'm nearly all the way around again. And I've got to do just one more crystal strap and one more seed bead strap. you've done it right and you've done all your counts right. So you've counted and you've done 8 straps going one way, 8 straps coming back the other way. You should end up with the needle end of the thread at the same end of the beaded bead as your tail end. I'm taking this off my finger obviously, or you can take your keeper bead off, and now we can just finish off the thread ends. So we can just tie one pair of threads to the other pair. Nice double knot, make sure it's nice and firm, and then to neaten the ends you just pass down through an adjacent strap. So I think that would be far enough for that one. Take the thread off the needle and then we can put the thread onto these ends, and if we reattach the needle one at a time, we can similarly hide these inside adjacent straps. Let's try that strap. That's a bit tight. Let's try this strap. That's it. That one's done. And we'll need to find one for this one too. There we go. That will go into that one quite nicely. Take that a bit further because it passes much more easily. Right, let's do some snipping. 1 and 2. And you can see that the hole is nice and neat, top and bottom, and we've preserved that passageway through the middle so we can turn it into a necklace or an earring or whatever you want to turn it into. Right, there's one more style of bead to make and then we can start assembling our necklace. This is the bead we made previously, which has a single layer of the small crystal running around the edge. I'm now going to make a double-decker bead which has got 2 layers of that smaller crystal and 1 layer of the large crystal running around the outside. So as you can see, it's practically double the depth of the first crystal, first beaded bead. Now the reason for it being double the depth is instead of using 1 6x8 crystal for the core, we're going to use 2, one on top of the other. Now I've chosen a slightly different combination of crystal for this particular one. Instead of going for the red smaller crystal, I'm going to go for the pink to ring the changes, and I'm going to keep everything else the same. So I'm going to start exactly as I did before. Double thread, this time about 1m20 of double thread, and I'm going to wrap it around my little finger to get myself started. And that's my core. So that's 2 of the large crystal, the 6x8, to make the core. I'm going to put the first strap on, which is this one here. And that's got the large crystal in. You can see it's got 4 seed beads above, 4 below, and I'm going to stick to that combination because I like the pink bead very much indeed. So we've got 3 pink and an orange and an orange and 3 pink. And I'm going to pass up through the core. So there's our first strap in situ. Now the second strap, the alternating strap, has 2 seed beads above, 3 in the middle and 2 at the bottom. So I'm going to put on, I think, a pink and an orange, and then orange. Let's put some red in. orange, and this is very much, you need to experiment, but I think that makes a good strap. So it's 2 seed beads crystal, 3 seed beads crystal, 2 seed beads, and up through the core. And it's really important I get the tension right here, because I want the strap to pull in tight, but I don't want the core to bend. I want it to stay as 2 crystal beads stacked one on top of the other. So you can see that's my first 2 rows, and I'm going to repeat that 3 more times. So I've got 8 straps in total, and then I'm going to strengthen it exactly the same way as I did for the first bead, by going up and down and up and down and up and down. And you can see how neatly it makes the edge of the hole in the core. So I'm going to complete this bead, and then I'll be back to you for the main stringing. As you can see, I've been busy. This is the large double-decker bead I was making last time. That's now complete, and this is the single-decker bead I made previously. I've got a few more of those. I've got another one there, and one there. I've made 2 single-decker beads with a different combination of seed beads and crystal. So I've used the pale pink and this ruby red size 6. And I've got 2 more variants. I've used a nice fuchsia bicone in there and a size 6 silver lined orange. So I've now got a nice assortment of 11 beaded beads. I've also got a selection of the same materials again that I'm going to use for the stringing. So I've got all the same beads again. I haven't actually put in the purple that I've used for the main core, but I might pick one up later. Depends how the threading goes. These sorts of things are always an adventure in colour rather than something completely planned, I find. Right, I'm going to thread on to a tiger tail or a stranded wire beading thread, and I've cut myself about 80 centimetres because I'm not quite sure what the finished length is going to be. And I've put my main bead in the centre. So that's the one I've just made, and I've got 2 of the other colourway to go either side. And now I can start spacing out in between my main beads. Now I'm going to start with, I think, one of those. Let's see what that's like. Oh yes. I get quite carried away when I'm doing threading, so if I go very quiet, my apologies, but I just enjoy it, so I go into my own little world. Let's have a little look and perhaps put on an orange, and I think I want another of this small cushion crystal against the next beaded bead. So I've got a little combination there, and then this is my next beaded bead. I'm just going to make a bit of space. And this is my next beaded bead. Now remember how many threads you've got going through the centre of the beaded bead. Sometimes the stranded wire beading thread doesn't want to go through first time, so I would suggest a slightly thicker needle or a pin. Put it into the hole in the bead and just roll it a few times, and that will help to ease a passageway through. Still doesn't want to go, so let's try that again. I can feel this one is quite tight, so I might swap to another one just for a moment, but let's see. No, I'll get that to work in a minute. Let's try this one instead. That one feels a lot easier. There we go, I can see it coming through, and we're through. So that's the first combination. Now against that I think I can put a seed bead and then a smaller seed bead, perhaps a red one. So this is a complete sort of experiment, and some things will stay and some things will come off. I'm going to work outwards that way, spacing out my feature beads. I'll get up to this first large one up the side, and then I'll replicate it this side, and I'll work out towards the back. When I've got a good combination, I'll be back to you to show you how to finish off. I've finished threading up my beaded beads, and as you can see, it's made quite a nice long necklace with that large bead in the centre, the other two large beads just a little distance up, and then spaced out with a variety of the smaller beaded beads. Now I've run out the back with a combination of all the beads I used within the beaded beads themselves, mainly because it's more comfortable to have it narrow like this around the back of the neck. And I've finished off with 3 size 6 seed beads on either side. I need a large hole bead on the end to be able to hide the end of the stranded beaded thread when I finish it off. And I'm going to use a bar type clasp, and that needs a little bit of flexibility at the end too to make it work. So I'm going to make a beaded loop to go with my bar, and to do that I need to start off with a couple of crimps. Those are going to secure the loop that I make, and by using 2 together it means I can get my pliers in to squash them nicely without breaking any beads. Now my beaded loop is going to need to be about 20 size 10 beads long, so I'm just going to do a repeat. You can obviously do a pattern or all one colour, or you might choose to use a different sort of clasp, but I like to make things as jazzy as possible, I suppose. That's my my real joy in beads, is playing with all the colours. So got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. I think I'm going to put one more repeat on and then test it. There we go. I'm going to pass back through 2 crimp beads and those seed beads there. Pull up the loop. I need to check that, see, it's a little bit small. So I'm going to have to put on another repeat. And I'm going to finish with a pink one just to be extra sure. Remake the loop. Let's do, yes, that goes through and it's secure. I'm happy with that. Okay, so now I'm going to use my flat nose pliers. You can obviously use crimping pliers if you prefer, but I've always used flat or chain nose pliers to secure my crimps. Make sure it's nice and firm, and then I can trim off the end with a pair of wire cutters that will hide inside there. Let's look at the other end now. This end I just need to attach the bar. So again, I'm going to use 2 crimps because it gives me extra flexibility. There's my extra crimp. I don't need to get another one out of the box. And back through. I just need to make sure there's enough flexibility in that for it to work. Yes, there is. So I can just crimp the crimps. And let's trim that end off too. And if I move the seed beads aside, you can now see we have a finished ruby necklace. I also had a couple of beaded beads left over, so I've made the first of a pair of earrings just on a head pin and an eye pin. And these beaded beads are really versatile. So I showed you earlier the original version of this necklace. So from that combination I also made a stick pin. I've had great fun doing this. I hope you'll give it a go. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.